Welcome to a day in my life as a cottage baker selling at the farmers market and the local cottage market. This decision to open up this small business has been life-changing for our family, and we hope that it will continue to bless us as we move forward with our dreams and hopes of opening a home-based micro bakery that we plan to have to help people heal, connect, and grow. We want to have soup kitchens, open mic nights, creative nights, and just really have a safe haven and a space where people can eat and enjoy their time on our property. That's a long ways out at this point because we have to save money up for the property first and foremost, but we are taking it one little step at a time. So for the meantime, I am doing these markets, and this just gives you a little peek into my life while doing this. It is loads of work. While I only do the market one day a week, it is 1 to 2 days of prepping prior, and I also take orders outside of Saturday, which is the day that I have the farmers market. Now, I did say this is a day of my life, but realistically, this is like multiple days accrued in one video. I got so behind on doing my market videos individually that I don't think I'm ever going to catch up at this point until I have other helping hands. So I just lumped what I have together in one video, and I actually left out tons of footage because you guys don't need to watch me making the same thing over and over and over again. So with that said, this may not be the most streamlined video because it's a bunch of random footage from different days, and I did my best to try to compartmentalize it and organize it bit by bit, but it was pretty hard, and I didn't really know exactly what I was looking at from all these videos over all these weeks, but you guys get the gist and you can understand what it's like as I explain it to you. So let's get into it. First of all, you guys always see me looking all cute and stuff because I'm at the market and I prepared myself to look well, but most of the time I look like this in my kitchen while I'm baking. I do not wear anything fancy because I'm just making a mess anyways. So let's just be real there, because I don't want there being any unrealistic expectations to be had that you guys need to be all done up, because most bakers, we're wearing our drab, the ones of us that are doing lots of work. And as you can see, I started off with my sourdough bread if I'm making it. One little quick side note, I did make this little birthday cake for my daughter, and I wanted to share it on here because I thought it was so cute. I was somewhere in between all these weeks. And as some of you guys know that follow me, I started my cake decorating journey this last year, and I am very far away from having a very precise and clean piping work, but it is awesome to learn. I really enjoy the craft and I enjoy the challenge of it because cake decorating is a lot harder than it looks. Anyways, so then I move into making sourdough cinnamon rolls. All my sourdough stuff I have to make the day before, obviously, because I like to do overnight ferments to help with the flavor, and it just makes it easier to prepare things in the morning because the dough's already done. You just take it out of the fridge and you just roll it out and put it in the oven. Next, you can see I'm writing out my signage for my stands, and then after this, you can actually see that I will be filling up these organizational shelving units that my husband got for me for super cheap. They were $10 a pop, and if you guys would have seen the situation I had going on before with my baking stuff, you would be embarrassed for me. I had it all just shoved in a box in the garage, and it was not good. It was very unorganized, and it was very hard to find things, so it was on my list to get something like this eventually. This was very helpful. We keep it in the garage as well. I will tell you, I will be brutally honest, I had absolutely no idea what I was getting myself into when I decided to start this little business. There are a lot of things you're going to want to have to look into, and I know I've made some videos kind of touching on them, and I definitely plan to get back to that. I would like to hopefully maybe make a playlist to make it easier for you guys to follow if you're interested in wanting to know what my journey was like. Hopefully you're not going to do what I did, because there's so many things now looking back that I'm like, oh my goodness, I wish I would have done that differently. But our state and where we're located actually is very lenient as well. And there are a lot of areas that are not in regards to the cottage food laws. So everything that I have going on here won't necessarily always translate to wherever you might be located if you are doing the same thing. Moving right along, as you are going to witness, I wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning, and I don't think all these videos are in the right quintessential order, so there may be things that are in the daylight still from the day before moving forward. And yes, that's my butter melted in the microwave and my broken rolling pin. Lots of things go wrong in my kitchen. I am quite clumsy. I'm not proud of that, but also just, life. And it's very important for me that through my page, I convey a sense of authenticity. Yes, I like to make nicer videos every once in a while. I'm no genius at it, and I'm not a miracle worker at content creating. Obviously, look at this video, it's a mess. But I do like to show that realness behind what's going on, so that nobody develops a contorted perception of what's going on in my little corner of the world. Here, I'm mixing up one of my favorite desserts in the whole world. It's cinnamon sugar swirl poppy seed bread. This is a generations old family recipe, so I am not necessarily going to hand it out. I just would like to pay the respects of keeping it in my family. But outside of that, you guys know I love to share the recipes I use or the recipes that I have developed or changed. And in reference to that, actually, I am going to note that I only am making a certain amount of things for the market, because for our market here at the farmers market, it's very hard to get into and they jury you in. So they have to taste test your things. And as you can imagine, I can't just make everything all at once. So I had to select my best sellers and a few things that I just figured would be really enjoyed or just exclusive at the market, something that people could really only find at my table. I also just carry a lot of respect for all other bakers in general, and that means for the bakers in my area. So I do not consciously go into anything with a competitive mind state. That is just not how I am as a person, especially not if somebody's already been in business before me. So with that in mind, I juried in my sourdough cinnamon rolls, my sourdough babka, the lemon blueberry twisty buns, lemon cardamom poppy seed twisty buns, cinnamon sugar poppy seed bread, lemon blueberry tea cake, and my different flavored flour breads that you can see I'm cutting right here. You can jury in other things. I am planning on hopefully jurying in some croissants and maybe a few other things before the jurying season is over, but I still need to think that through. This is what they look like, all twisted up. They're super easy to make. I fill them with different fillings like homemade lemon curd, homemade blueberry or huckleberry jam, also store-bought jams or other homemade sauces like chocolate sauce. One time I made a white chocolate peppermint one. Those aren't my favorite flavors, but I did it for Christmas time. Just whatever. You can literally fill them with anything. Those of you guys who have been here for a long time, you've seen me make cinnamon rolls 1,000 times, but I started making sourdough cinnamon rolls, like I said. So these are the sourdough ones, which is really nice because I can put the dough in the fridge the night before. I really like having things as fresh as possible at the market. I know everybody's different. It's just personally, I like to have everything made the morning of. That's also why I wake up at 2 a.m. because there's some things that just have to be made the same day, or things that I can prep and they can be finished the next morning. And then I have an exception where there are a few things that I make that I'm able to make the day before because they develop better flavor and are actually more moist on the second day. So that's things like my poppy seed bread and my lemon blueberry tea cake. I make them the day before, the night before, and the next morning. The bread is more moist the next day and they're even more delicious. Okay, and then the morning of, when I've got things baking, I usually have to move things over to my coffee table because things are just getting so wild on the kitchen counters. Ooh, look at that cinnamon roll. We love a gooey cinnamon roll over here. That's just our preference, so that's how we sell them. Anyways, yes, my table gets very filled up. As you can see, look at this mess. I have flour on my chair and everything. We don't have a very big kitchen, so things get pretty messy pretty fast, and I have a lot to clean up at the end of the market day, but all my tables get very full. I know you guys might have questions as well, so if you want to ask, feel free to pop in the comment section and ask me more about what goes on in my day, because I can't fit absolutely everything in here, but I am going to go ahead and address one of the biggest concerns and questions that I have gotten recently. I actually just had to separate myself from a market group on Facebook because it was just full of so many negative Nancys, and I'm not saying that to be negative myself. It was just unhealthy for me. I don't expect to be on the internet and just receive positive review after review. It's the internet. You're going to get some negative feedback, but the amount of negativity and unasked for preferences and concerns that people had with no knowledge of what goes on here in our state leaving their comments, it was unhealthy for me to have to read them time and time again. So I removed myself from that group. I've never had that problem with any other community. I'm on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. I'm even on Lemonade, and I've never had that kind of concern anywhere. Everybody is usually so congenial and wonderful in the baking community, and the fact that we all do things differently, there's usually a lot of respect around that, and people know that the cottage laws are different, so nobody's, flipping a lid about that. So I'm just going to go ahead and acknowledge that main concern, and that is that we don't have to prepackage our food here because it is not required in our state and by our cottage laws. Now, obviously, I'm well aware that many of you have preferences that you would never buy from a table like this. Well, guess what? You don't have to, and it doesn't concern you. So if this is an issue for you and you have your quips about it, just leave the comments to yourself. It's really not necessary to have to say something about it if it's not your style. If you have questions about it, I'd be happy to answer them. But our community here is happy, vibrant, healthy, and we have no issues with it here. And this farmer's market has been going for over 30 years, so it's safe to say nobody here is really very worried about it. Anywho, that about wraps up the video, you guys. We sell out, we pack up, and then we do it all over again the very next week. And when I get home, I have an army of dishes waiting for me. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. We'll see you next time.